All right. Well, it's the three of us until we get Alexa and possibly JD to join us.
Or, well, for them, they have to realize that the cool people have to start this.
All right. Oh my goodness. Let's see. So everybody who is joining us, feel free to type in questions into the comments section. We're going to answer you live. You can answer or answer us, ask us anything you might want to know about any training that we've done, our thoughts on certain topics, just anything. They can be funny, they can be serious. You can even ask Joan and I to debate astrology because we have different views on that one. But
you want to do that during Mars retrograde? Do you really?
Do I care? No. Not really. Yeah, so one of the first comments we have here, she actually had a reading with you, Elise, was in and talked with you about the Lenormand deck.
Yes.
How do you, what's your explanation, the difference between Lenormand and tarot? Why would you say Lenormand might be better for some people?
Well, as we were discussing today, Elise and I, Lenormand is very straightforward. Some people compare tarot to being more about the emotions. There's more layers to it. Whereas Lenormand, or even the Kipper cards, they're very straightforward. Here's an image. This is it. You might have an envelope. You might have a ship. You might have a bear or a fox like we saw today. And these things are very straightforward. There's not a lot of deviation on the meanings. Although it still can, but there's less cards, so you don't have a lot of extras in the pictures either. And Lenormand, there's only just a couple layouts, but like any deck, I will make a layout, so whatever works for me at that time.
Well, Don has whipped out his whole Lenormand deck and done every card reading. And I'm wrap it up, dude. Good information. But I'm I ain't got all day.
But you could do the same with tarot. Honestly, you could, if you wanted to and had 4 hours, you could lay out the entire deck and do a full scale reading. But the same thing with the 36 cards of Lenormand. Or, some of the Lenormands. What's that?
So your ghost sound just went through and then it ended.
Okay.
All right. Well,
don't make me have to light this, okay?
Whipping out the big stage.
But there's we were talking Lenormand decks. There's a Lenormand deck that I think it's Under the Roses. It has the regular 36 plus an additional something, so it ends up being 60 cards.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? And real quick, let's do this. So, I'm Melissa, owner of Goddess Elite, and
what? Oh, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi. I'm thinking that would be a good thing to do, right? And then so we have Maria Cerna. Maria is pranic healer, shamanic healer, Reiki, all sorts healers.
Yeah.
But you also have mediumship. So, and we have Joan. Joan, you do tarot, Lenormand, oracle. Sometimes mediumship when they come pester you hard enough, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell them this. Oh, and here comes Alexa. Alexa is joining us. Hey, Alexa.
Hey.
We've been BS and filling in some time.
Hey.
Alexa, you offer not only tarot, but you do relationships and sensuality readings.
Yeah.
And fun little gemstone penises, and that's fun.
They're amazing. I have them. I travel with them now.
Right. A pocket full of dicks.
I mean, everybody should have them. They're darling.
Mm-hmm.
And they're incredibly. There's a surprising number of people that will come up, start to giggle, and they'll kind of do the side eye, Is that enough? Like, you can touch them, please. Touch the little dicks. You're fine. You're more than welcome to. I've gotten a really good response out of them. It was a good experiment.
Right. So anybody joining us, feel free to ask questions about anything that we may know how to do, or if you just have questions in general about, I guess, different modalities of reading or different healing modalities. I do the shamanic healing like Maria, but Maria, pranic healing. We both do Reiki. And did you sit through Lovey's integrated energy therapy certifications?
Unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity with that one. Yeah.
Okay. That one I did. I couldn't remember if you sat through it or not. So we're willing to answer all sorts of questions, be it lighthearted or if you need a little more information. Though Elise had the follow-up question about Lenormand, like what would be a good way for studying Lenormand? And I think, Alexa, you do a Lenormand too. So, I mean, if Joan, if you want to go first, like what do you suggest for studying Lenormand, and then Alexa?
So, as always, any information, I encourage people to gather several sources and then kind of pick what feels right to them. I see the comment, okay. I see the comment about I'm always looking for classes or the right way to learn. And with that, it's what feels good to you. So it's a matter of, I don't think anything's right. You'll feel it in your gut. So, and then practice. It's all about practicing.
I mean, if
Alice, how about you?
I mean, definitely the best. I remember one of the best pieces of advice I got for learning any of the cards, even like not even just specifically Lenormand cards. Almost every deck you get will come with a little informational booklet. And absolutely, it's a good resource. Flip through it once, but don't let that guide your natural intuition of wanting to learn that card. Because I've noticed that the more people that are willing to put aside the actual book itself and are willing to just pick up a card and think about how am I feeling, what images, what thoughts, what words are coming to mind, that's going to be a lot more accurate than just what you're going to read in the book verbatim definition. But Lenormand is such a fun, it's a completely different flavor from tarot. And I didn't realize that until the first time I had somebody do a Lenormand reading for me. I was like, oh, this is a lot more, its scope is so much broader than tarot. Like I feel like tarot gave like a snapshot, whereas Lenormand could give several months down the road or a good chunk of time for you. Yeah, I would happily own more Lenormand decks, much to my husband's dismay. I feel like every time I'm in the shop now, I buy another deck of cards.
He's like, why more? Now, Tabitha has a kind of a question. Says she's learning chakra healing with crystals. And I think, Maria, you might be able to speak well to that because you do a lot with different crystals, especially in some of the pranic healing session. And I know like sometimes kits come down and some people always think like, I need the crystal for the root chakra. And I always want to tell them like, there's no one crystal for any of them, but maybe if you have some wisdom on, crystals and the different chakras, the best ways to, incorporate them maybe.
Well, I was taught in pranic healing that we use, each chakra has a certain color scheme going on in the chakras. So like the basic chakra would be like a red color. So
Sorry, product placement.
So like a red stone would be used on the root chakra. And then you have the color scheme going in the heart chakra, and the crown is basically yellow and red, which is really unusual. But what I was taught in pranic healing is everything that you learn about crystals from anything, just throw it out the window and you go according to the vibration and the feeling of the crystals. That's how I was taught. So I usually I use a rose quartz crystal one when I'm doing crystal healing, and that is I do have a clear crystal, and I do have also an amethyst, but for some reason my go-to is the rose, and that's what I use. So basically, you have a relationship with the crystals, and you just have to practice and start, relying on your intuition and trusting that what you have learned, whether it's from a book, whether it's from a teacher, but trusting. You need to build that relationship with yourself.
Right. Well, and I remember our shaman teacher was kind of like, it's natural to always have that little bit of a doubt in the beginning. Like, are you doing it right? And that kind of also makes sure like your ego is not in the way.
Yep.
You know,
Healthy skepticism. Yeah, there was the word.
All right. Does anybody else have some more questions for us?
You know, that skepticism, I talked about that all day throughout my readings. Several people were asking, how do you read? What do you do? And every time I read, I never ask questions until at the end because I don't want to hear about it. So, not that I'm not interested in your life. I am reading for you. But I want the card to tell me first, and then you can spill.
Well, and I know, like, I make all of you guys interview read before you can read at the store.
Not stressful at all.
No.
I didn't think it was. Everybody's like, oh my God. I'm like, really? Is it that? Like, right? Like, dun, 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 you fail or you pass. But I have, when people start either pulling out the book that goes with the cards, I'm like, and we're done. Or if they're asking too many questions, I'm like, you're trying to fish the information out, and this is not how a reading is supposed to work. Elias, one of our other readers, he's chatting with us. He says hello. We'll have to get him on one of these. So Tabitha says when she holds Tiger's Eye, she gets a headache, and she's asking if that's normal. Do any of you guys like get headaches? I used to get severe migraines with moldavite. Not as bad anymore, but
that's a tough stone to work with, moldavite.
But Tiger's Eye, like, why, Maria? What would you think would cause a headache with Tiger's Eye?
She's not the vibration and the stone vibration is not aligning. So there has to be some kind of cleansing that you need to do with the stone first, and then you need to put it aside for a while, and then do some meditation, do some walking meditation, and then go back to it, because there's a reason why that tiger eye came into your life. So
when it's you said, sorry, go ahead.
No, so it's just the vibrational that's not really matching right now. Go ahead.
Thank you. When you mentioned take some time with it, do a walking meditation, and then come back to it. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I saw was you have to train it like a dog. You're training your crystal.
Yeah.
Put it on a leash. Take it for a walk.
But you have to cleanse it. Yeah.
I've even had that happen with decks before. Like I did a party reading once for a bunch of girls on a birthday party, and just back to back, big readings, loud bar, a lot of energy. And the next day I sat down just to kind of like start flipping over cards, was going to just do a little journaling. And I kept pulling the same like 3 major cards from the night before. And then I got the distinct impression that the deck was like, no, I need a moment. I need a break. I need like the fact that you can imprint energy so quickly onto those objects. And I think that's definitely an aspect of reading that you have to be mindful of, that you every once in a while spend quality time with your instruments and kind of get them back to center with you. That way it becomes easier for you to work with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's one thing, like in the shamanic program. That's staying, man. At one point, like anytime we picked up certain stones, like part of our homework was like we had to come back with a name. Like we had to spend time with that stone, and we better knew its name. And like one of the first times of having to do that, I used my mesa, which is behind me, lived at the store because I spent so much time at the store. It was there, and it was behind that partition we used to have. And I kept hearing this chattering, and I'm like, what in the hell is that? And like they were already yelling at me, you know, popping off names and talking. And I did that whole like, I'm fucking crazy for a minute there. And I'm like, no, it's working. They can talk. And sometimes, like, you know, if you want to take the time to find out the name of your tools, don't be surprised if you can't always pronounce it, because it may not even be the language you're used to hearing.
Right.
Do you ever, I had this thought once that somebody mentioned, I thought it was hilarious, with on like ghost hunting shows in other countries, you'll see the investigators ask in English, oh, is anyone here? It's like, yo, you're in France. If someone's there, maybe try French. Just see how that works.
Right. Well, you know, it's hilarious. So I do these lives with Marianne, you know, on Wednesdays. It's weird. For her, it doesn't matter what the ghost is. If they talk in their native language, she can understand them. But if she tries to talk out, like she's like, I don't know German, but as long as that ghost is talking, she's like, it's English to me. So then I'm kind of like in this theory of like, it's not really like a language, more of a telepathy for her is my opinion. But I think for like the rest of us who don't communicate that way, like, why would you start spewing English in, you know, somebody who passed away in 1890 Germany? Like, come on, that's not going to work so much. But I call a bullshit on a lot of the ghost hunting shows anyway. Especially the one where the guy likes to roid rage at all of the ghosts. And I'm like, they wouldn't talk to you if they were alive. Why are they going to talk to you now? And when he's always inviting them to like hit him, I'm like, please push him down the stairs, please.
On Zach Baggins. He's trying his hardest.
I'm like, why are you so angry? Like, why?
Is that how he gets friends? You're gonna like me,
right? I'm like, would you be that aggressive to the live person? Why are you doing that to them dead? I don't get it. So Rory has a question about the cards. When reading cards, how is energy infused into it? And is it better to have the person reading the person? Is it better for the reader to touch the card or the client to reach the card? I think is the second part of that question.
Preference. It's preference of the reader. Sometimes, some days I've had people do the shuffling. Most of the time, don't touch my cards. It really depends. Well, seriously, because if I'm doing readings like today, back to back to back to back, I don't have time to cleanse my cards. And so, Alex, you said it right. There's that energy that's already in there, and you had it from the day before. It's no different than spiritual residue. Ooh, oh, plain that shit. No, it's. Marianne talks about it. Other people have talked about it. One moment, please. I'm still there.
Get your ghost situation under control.
Yeah, well,
some little gremlins.
True. So it's just think about when you go. This is the best example. Whether it's the cards, it is like going shopping on Black Friday or some busy shopping day. When you hit that store, you have a certain attitude. When you come out, how do you feel? People being angry, people being happy, people being sad, and you are just overwhelmed with emotion and energy. The same thing that the cards are doing, or your stones, or any other tool that you have. Residue.
I think, Alexa, you have people sometimes shuffle, right? Or
yeah. You can kind of tell when somebody sits down with their body language, whether or not they're okay. I'm here. You do, or someone that really leans in and kind of starts to look around your table to see how can I participate? How can I? And I don't mind it when people shuffle decks for me. I think it gives them a good focal point. I equate it to a lot of times like a lot of ultra items that you'll use that they become a focal point. I tell that person, okay, what are we going to talk about? You think about what it is that brought you here, what you want to work on, what you want to talk about. Just let yourself dwell on that and touch these cards for a second or two. And it gives them something to do, definitely, but it almost gives them that kind of like, it brings their focus in a little bit. Like they're able to start tuning out the other readers next to us. They're able to start kind of tuning out, you know, the shop noises behind us, and they can actually just think of, okay, what is it I wanted to talk about as I'm doing this very mundane action of shuffling cards? And I've noticed I can actually get people to broadcast a little bit louder to me if I can get them to kind of focus in with me a little bit and give them an activity to do, because it gets them comfortable. It gets them automatically, like their guard comes down and they're broadcasting a little louder to pick up on, versus somebody who, I mean, we've all had clients that sit down and are very theoretically buttoned up. They don't let anything out ever. And those people, though you can read for them, it's a fun chore. But I found that letting clients touch the card gets them kind of in the moment with me. But yeah, it's like Joan said, like it is client preference. And like when I was doing like my party read, I didn't let them touch the cards because we were doing back to back, cards up, let's go, cards. Like sometimes it's easier to keep your cards with you and keep your tools with you and let them just kind of vibe with you because they know you, they're familiar with you, they trust you, versus certain decks that are good with other people, that respond well to other energy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-COVID, I used to shake hands. That's all I needed was a handshake.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could put the energy into the cards.
Right. Well, and like Elias, he's watching and chatting in with us, says that he usually has clients shuffle the cards, and he cleans them as needed. And the one time that he refused, he just knew as soon as they sat down. He was like, and no, denied.
Move on.
But Rory then has like a follow-up question wanting to know, like, can then the energy like attach to them and then go home with them? Which I think, I mean, as when you're going in for the good readers, like you guys are cleansing constantly. And that's a lot of the times I think why there's so many different decks on the table. It's like, if you know you need to cleanse that one after that client, that one kind of gets pulled back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then the clean ones are available. But I mean, in general, with good readers and good practice, like nothing should be attaching to a person just from the reading.
And we have stones. I know I do. Alex, you do. And well, Maria, I know you have them in the room. We have crystals and stones that are with us working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there are workers. We've given them jobs, and that's their job on the table. Take care of that energy, so that we're not walking out with it. And I kind of dilly-dally after shows, so that I kind of just work it out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So like, what do you guys do at the end of the day to kind of like shake up all that energy after all those people?
I actually, there have been days I've had to come home and actually physically change clothes just to get myself a good start on that reset. Definitely, I've noticed that after longer days, like reading, regardless of the method you're using, it takes a lot out of the practitioner. It really does. Like it can be really exhausting work, and you come home and you've spent so much of yourself. But I've gone so far as just taking a quick shower, rinse it off. I've even gone as far as like asking my husband, like, let's go for a walk. I need to be outside for a while. I need to get a breeze going on me. I need to feel a little greenery around me and kind of give my body space for that energy to dissipate out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Like Maria, what do you do after a day full of healing and people in and out of that room?
Well, as I'm done with a client, I always cut the cord of the healing cord that I connected to them. I always do that for every single client. So before I start a healing session or even a reading session, I actually say a prayer to secure the space. I pretty much secure it. Then after I'm done, then I'm go ahead and say the prayer, and then I actually cut the cords to it. So every single client I do cut cords to. So by the time I'm walking out of there, I really don't have to do anything because I'm still in my center. I cut the cord to them. They're not taking me home. I really don't want to take them home. No offense. It's not that I don't like people, but I have too much of my own stuff to deal with. I can't deal with other people's too. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And Joan, what do you do?
Okay, so there's a couple things. I don't pay attention to what I do. I keep everything in my bag. I put the bag underneath the tables or put it away, so I'm not looking at my cards or doing anything. It'll usually be I have to go barefoot. I'm in my car blasting my music as I'm leaving, and I mean blasting the music. Or another favorite pastime is eating. Melissa, let's go out to grab a burger.
Yep.
Red meat. Seriously, red
When
meat.
Applebee's has those
is
value
red meat.
drinks. Yes.
Steaks.
Right. And Elias says he goes home, has beer, salt scrub in the shower, goes to bed. Which it's funny, like there's been other readers who, like Patty Conklin, she does a lot of reading healing. Like she beer, steak, goes to the hotel room, chills out when she's traveling. Because I mean, it's a lot of grounding and releasing that needs to happen for some of us. And I know like there's been times, which I don't do very many sessions like publicly because I'm always running the store. But when I do a few, like I'll come home and I'll either go for a walk or go do like a quick 5K or, I end up sitting outside, and just kind of releasing that down and grounding it out and making sure like that's their stuff, not mine. That doesn't need to stay with me. So like, okay, so Alexa, when did you realize that you like had a gift for being able to do readings?
I think, so it's kind of like a two-part question because I actually got my first tarot deck when I was like 14 or 15. My dad had watched the James Bond movie Live and Let Die, and Solitaire in that movie has her own tarot deck. So my family being big James Bond fans, my father brought me the deck. Said, here, kind of weird, you're into that, love you, mean it, here you go. And I would always practice just on myself and just turning cards over for myself, and it always felt very comfortable. It always felt very natural. There was no hesitation around, like I remember the first time someone was like, oh, let's do aura work. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. That's not comfortable. I'm not practicing. You hand me a deck of cards though, and I feel really good with them. I feel very attached to them. But it wasn't actually until I took a class at the shop, Melissa, with Dawn, and I did it just because I needed community. I needed people to talk to, someone that I could say weird witchy tarot shit, and they'd go, "Yeah, me too," and not look at me like I'm a crazy person. And it was at that point, like especially with Dawn encouraging us, like just turn a card over, and tell me what you feel. Stop thinking, start speaking, just go, and just turning cards over for these other strangers sitting in this class for me and kind of watching them go, yeah, that was right. How did you, that little bit of a confidence boost, and that little bit of like a window of like, oh, okay, like I'm not just a crazy person flipping cards over and words are coming out of my mouth. Like this means something to them. It doesn't mean anything to me. Like, and I think that was kind of when I realized like, oh wow, like, okay, there's something more here than just, a tool for meditation or a tool for, kind of thinking about a problem. Like I could actually help people and I could actually provide insight or clarification or comfort in some way to someone else. So it's been within the last 2 to 3 years, I've felt comfortable wanting to read for other people and wanting to offer them that. Because it is kind of spooky thinking that you'll do certain things that you've always done and felt comfortable doing, but then being brave enough to go, hey, random stranger, can I do that to you?
Right, which always makes a difference. Like you see these TV shows where they're just randomly walking up to people on the street, and you're like, no, okay, first of all, edited. Second, that doesn't happen. That's not a welcome. Like, no and don't. Now, Maria, like, how would you say that you knew that you wanted to do healing work?
Actually, it started off to be meditation. I was part of a meditation circle, and then it got moved to mentor, and I couldn't get there. So I put it out in the universe. I wanted to learn if I'm doing it correctly because I was doing it on my own. And then something popped in there, and I looked at it, and I had to really rethink this, because going to a circle, spending, not that big of an investment, it was a no-brainer. This one was a weekend class, and it was going to be like $425, and I had to really think about this. And I said, okay, fine, I'll just go ahead and do it. So I went. It was more than a meditation. It was the silver class, and we were taught to do glove anesthesia, and we were taught to do levitation, and we were taught to do astral travel, and we were taught to do health cases, going into an animal and going into humans. And they were the one who taught me how to do distant healing, and I loved it so much. It was really intoxicating, and I wanted to learn more. So each year when the teacher came in, I retook the class. And then I also took the intuition class also, and we really went into the distant healing part. So it started off to be a meditation, evolved to something else.
You went down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah,
meditation work. Yeah, that tends to happen in this field. You start here and you end up way the hell over there with all these other tools under your belt. JD's trying to find the link.
Punk.
Slacker.
Right. Come on. Bring it, buddy. Get on here.
I'm going to work in the background. So I'm going to, Joan, if you want to talk about how you knew, and then we'll get to Elias's next question while I get JD, squared away in here.
So, my story is my grandmother used to do readings, but years ago, she read playing cards. I always thought she was playing solitaire, but it ended up she was reading people. Right. And come on, it was different. But my gift of reading, I think I realized I had something, number one, deja vu, when that would kick in, even at a younger age. But when I was working at a company, and this was before we had caller ID, there were 100, 125, 150 clients that we would have calling us with help desk questions. And go ahead, you can laugh. They called with help desk questions, and I would know who was calling before I picked up the phone. Or I could talk about one of the clients and not have heard from them for 6 months, and then know. And I knew that I had some type of ability when I could be, I was probably about 90% correct. So just automatically, and then have my coworkers look at me and go, how did you know? I don't know, it's what I felt. But then the cards, when I found out Grandma actually was reading years ago, I said, you know what, I want to look more at these. And I've had a deck for a while. I just put it away. It was time to bring it back out.
So Elias was asking me, because I work with so many people, like, what would I say the ratio is of readers and maybe even healers who are drained after an event versus those who are jazzed, who are like really up there. And I have to say the higher majority are those that are like just white, like they're ready to go home, relax, kind of. There's only like 2 or 3 that I can think of that are, hyped up and like, where's more, as the event goes on.
Well, remember, when we have a winery event, that changes. Because then it's like 1 a.m. And
we haven't put Elias through a winery yet. And I'm going to have to do that this year. But, COVID sucked the fun out of that.
Thanks, 2020.
Yeah. Because how can you go wrong with readings and wine at a winery? Hundreds of people in like 5 hours ish. You know. Wait, Alexa, have you done one of the wineries with us yet?
No, I was 2020 was supposed to be my year because you vetted me like towards the beginning of autumn 2019. You vetted me in, and that was the year I think Don told you that he wouldn't have time or energy to do it, and then kind of looked at me and went, "Yeah, take her." 2020
That was a good imitation.
Yeah. Yeah, those wineries, hundreds of people like in like 5 hours ish. And I say that because some of us, we end up being there till like midnight, 1 o'clock, like cycling, because there's just so many people that keep wanting more readings and trying out different readers. And it's a lot of people. It's always a good time, but by the end of the night, I'm like, man, I live so far away. And I still have to drive home. But yeah, I would have to say the majority of practitioners, readers are more wiped at the end of like even the psychic fair today in the store. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even though I'm not doing readings, like by the end of it, I'm kind of like, oh, is it 6 o'clock yet? Like I'm ready to go home and like just chill. But it's a lot of people and a lot of energy and a lot of stuff, you know, kind of keeping it, you know, anchored, you know, and trying to keep the store clear at the same time with all the people and all the things coming in. And sometimes Maria, I'm like, hey, do you feel that? And, you know, which we haven't had to do that in a little while.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. It's been pretty smooth.
Yeah.
But usually there's been time I come in there and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, got some funk. You know, but that being said, for anybody who hasn't been into the store, like there are perimeters around. Earthbound spirits can't get in. They have to wait for you outside looking in.
Meet me in the parking lot.
Right. But you know, your guides and your angels, they can get through and come in. But all of them earthbound, you know, they have to stay out in the parking lot. They're not allowed in. You're invited, but your dead friends can't come.
Yeah,
outside.
Only the cool kids are allowed in.
Yeah, that's right. And they ain't cool. Besides, I don't need Marianne yelling at me. I need to know how and why they got in. Because she does. She yells at me. I get more than just the eye roll. I get the, like, come talk to me over here.
Well, that's something I will say, like, from not like an outside looking in, but like the energy of the shop is always very welcoming. Like I've looked at a couple other pagan shops before. Nothing quite feels like Goddess. Like whatever system you've got set up in there, it does promote a good sense of not only peace, but almost like almost like a little elation. Like when I get in there, I get excited. I'm like, oh my God, the possibility.
I try.
Now, like, so the shop definitely has such a good environment for like readers and practitioners to be in.
I really do try, and I try to keep it open, and you know, anybody should feel welcome in there. And I think with so many of us, you know, keeping an eye on that, you know, and I'm completely okay if, and Maria said it, she's like, what in the hell? She's like, we need it. I'm like, okay. Because, you know, I'm there every day, and you almost get like nose blind or energy blind because you're just used to. And so, and I'm kind of like a tank anyway. Like I'm really good at walling off and not letting shit in. I'm like the opposite of the empath who is constantly like, oh my God, I feel everything. I'm kind of like, oh, I'm trying to bring the stuff down so I can, you know, see it. Oh, look, here's JD.
Am I there? There I am.
Well,
it's about time.
Oh,
so if anybody isn't familiar with JD, you have Infinite Creations and you do spirit art.
Yeah.
So your readings are through art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it's not that you draw their spirit guides, but it's the reading literally in the art, and it's always fun, your readings, because there's always hidden stuff, and I still find things in my pictures months down the line. Like, hey, there's a new little face in there. Where did they come from?
Yeah, it's really kind of a fluid process. So whatever comes through, comes through. So I base that on whatever that person needs or is in their best interest. That's usually kind of how it goes. So I don't set any rigid parameters on what's going to be there or make any commitments as far as I'm going to do this. It's flow form. And basically, I read through the process of the drawing and what the drawing shows me.
Now, what made you decide to do your readings through art? When did you decide, like, hey, by the way, I'm a reader, but I'm going to do it through art?
It wasn't quite like that. It was more like the really long story. The short version is I was guided to in a meditation, and at the time I'd had a lot of experiences that kind of made me pay more attention to things, such as so-called coincidences. And when I first was shown the whole easel thing in this meditation, that was at a really poignant time. I kind of rolled my eyes thinking, yeah, whatever, the whole artist thing again, because it's, something that had always been a part of my life and kind of love-hate type thing. So, and then from there, because of all these other things that happened, I said, well, let's just see what happens. So I kind of reluctantly just started playing with it, almost trying to prove it wrong, and it didn't work.
That's my spirit art right there.
Right there. Joan, I feel that from here.
such energy there, Joan. I have to ask you to tone that down, right?
Right.
We're taking.
My spirit art of JD.
She channeled you in. That's why you were able to come in now. She already has you ready to go.
Spirit art. I do character art.
Not sure what you're saying about my character.
Well, I'll be available at the next county fair.
Draw pictures of JD.
Yeah. I won't guess weight or your birth date, but I can get a little drawing out there of you.
But you'll try to guess zodiac sign, right?
Yeah, I was going to say
that's a good idea. That's always fun.
There's that astrology again. No.
And she doesn't believe it.
I'm telling you, man, your ghosty noises there. You have to get that taken care of.
Yep, it's pretty active.
So again, anybody, if you have questions for any of us, type them into the comments. We'll answer them. All of those joining us tonight are available different days and times in the store for private readings. So JD and Alexa, we'll have to get you guys back, scheduled some other days coming
October, up. I'll be at the fair.
Oh, so you got permission to be at the fair, did you?
We are good.
Awesome. So Elise wants to know what your favorite decks are. The deck readers.
Depends on the day. Favorite deck? What? No. I don't own that one.
I know you don't.
Yeah, I know.
Side joke, JD has a deck that he put out that, the ethereal deck. And I think we have the one last copy available in the store. Is that what you said?
There? I thought it sold.
I thought there were more. No, you didn't get those printed, did you?
No, he's slacking.
Okay. So I would buy it and maybe say it was on my list of favorite decks, but it's not available at this time. So.
You
right?
Favorite decks it really depends on the day, it depends on the mood, it depends on the feeling. Right now, I always have a couple go-to decks. It really depends. Certain times of the year, I'll bring out certain decks. I've been known to bring out my Halloween deck in the middle of February. What is going on back there? JD, what are you doing?
We can see you playing with your Roku.
There's a method.
Right.
This is a public forum. Stop playing with your Roku, whatever you want to call it.
Just keep doing whatever you want to do then.
It's fine, JD. You're fine.
I'm trying to get this working. I gotta do that.
But online resources, yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with. I would also look to see if other people have done it. Okay, I'll be honest. I did sign up and have a nice printed off of my printer certification from a nice angel lady who's no longer an angel lady. You know what? I can still read the cards. I'm gonna make my own certificate someday, so that
I believe it.
If the class empowers you to continue to do what you're doing, I say go for it. I always feel that information can be free, but I also feel that people need to be given energy. So in the form of payment or reciprocating services. But it really depends on what you're comfortable with. So sometimes it's donation and sometimes it's a set fee. Some classes are more expensive than others. So really, whatever you can do at that time. But when you want something, when you do or learn, you'll find a way to make it happen. But otherwise, favorite bets and schooling, it really depends. If you really like the person, then go for it. But as always, what's that?
I was going to ask Alexa if she had a favorite deck.
Go for it.
Worth the wait, JD. Worth the wait.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely have like preferences depending on who I'm reading for and kind of what they're after. My personal go-to right now, I've been playing with the Deviant Moon deck a lot, just because I really enjoy a lot more of like that macabre whimsy art in it. I usually save that deck though for me or for close friends that are not afraid to get a little bit of a harsher news. I try to, like, I've discovered with my decks there are themes like, for example, if I've got a woman in front of me who wants something to do with, a family sphere or relationship sphere, but you can kind of tell she doesn't necessarily want like really hard truths, I'll use the Wild Unknown Tarot deck because it's very feminine, it's very soft, but they're still kind of able to deliver harsher messages in there. They're just designed very nicely, so it's easier, it's more palatable. I discovered that I got a transparent tarot deck that I really enjoy because once you lay cards out, you're able to stack them and get a really good image of a kind of a full encompassing a full sphere reading. But yeah, like Joan said, like I'll usually pick like my 5 or 6 decks I've been playing with most frequently for fairs. I'll set them all out, and then when that person sits down across from me, you kind of give them a little bit of a once over and go, this one feels right today. This feels good. Or I've even had clients sit down and go, that one, I like that. Touch that one for me. And they'll actually direct you as to which deck they feel most drawn towards. But I think just simply because of where I got it, I will always have a soft spot for my Tarot of the Witches deck that my dad got me as my first deck. You always remember your first. It will always forever be like my baby deck that I don't ever read with other people because I guess this one's special. This one's mine. It just sits here with me. So.
Well, and I know some readers have a deck that nobody ever sees or touches. Like that's their personal deck. The public is not allowed near it.
Mm-hmm.
Maria, you don't really use tarot. Well, at least not with the public. But I mean, for yourself, do you have cards that you use?
For myself, I do have a few of them. I love that. I can't remember the name of it. It's the shaman one. The shaman deck, the beautiful. I love that one. I use that a lot for my personal.
The Colette Baron Reed one?
The one that you had in the store. I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah, the Colette Baron Reed, the Shaman Oracle.
Yeah.
The big cigar box. It's a really pretty deck.
It really is. Yeah, I like that one.
I don't use cards a lot, but one of the things that I found being an artist is a lot of times what happens with decks for me is that I get obsessed with the artwork more than the meaning.
Mm-hmm. But you know how to read. Don't deny it.
But it makes it more complicated. I like
Blah blah blah.
what I'm saying is that I tend to feel more comfortable with decks that are like simple or more like primitive artwork, like the mother piece or the round ones. Anyway.
There's many round decks, JD. I'm going to throw that out there. You know what? You need to read with the Fantod deck, JD. You need to throw up in the air and you have to close your eyes.
Such a good damn purchase.
Yep.
Yes.
Mine's under my table right now. In my locker.
I splurged today.
Can you imagine that one at the next psychic fair? Here, you're going to read this. Go ahead. Yep.
Now keep your eyes closed and pat around. Find the
look for it. That's your neighbor. Come back here.
Yeah. Warm, cold.
Melissa, I just had someone text me that they're having trouble posting the question online, but they said they just got their first deck today. What are a few things that they should be doing with it? Oh, those are cute.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean. Those are really nice.
Those are coasters.
AOL CDs recycled.
Friend asks, what are the first things I should do with it? Should I read the book? Should I chuck the book out the window? Do I cleanse the deck? Just some beginner tips for the newer practitioners out there.
Well, I mean, for my card readers, who wants to start answering? Because I mean, there's no one way for any of that. There's going to be so many different suggestions for this.
The kind of redundant thing I would think is to follow your intuition. Like if you got it from somewhere that, I don't know, you didn't have great vibes when you got it, then, or not necessarily not great vibes, but it could be complicated. Like, you know, let's say a friend gave you one or helped you get it or something, but there's like some sort of weird tension there. Not necessarily problems, but, you know, then, yeah, cleanse it. And do whatever you feel drawn to do would be correct. It's important what you put behind the intent more than the process itself of doing it.
I mean, I've heard of some readers like, you know, they sleep with it for so many days or they carry it around. And I mean, there's really no one way. I know one reader who insists like you always take it out of the box that it comes in and you have to wrap it in silk. Like nothing else can touch your cards but silk. And I'm like, really? Okay. Go you. I'm like, I know other readers who have theirs in wooden boxes and they work just fine. You know, but I mean, Alexa, did you sleep with your cards? Do you carry them around? Do you?
So I have trouble sleeping anyway, so the thought of putting a little brick of cards under my head and trying to sleep seemed miserable. I almost always have a deck in my purse now, but that's mostly because you'd be shocked how many times somebody starts talking about cards and you go on, I have a deck here.
Yeah.
I've discovered that if I want to spend some like TLC time with a specific deck, I'll keep it out kind of downstairs with me on the coffee table. I'll idly just pick it up and kind of shuffle it and touch it every now and then. If I need to do like really good cleansings and just kind of like get a good reset on the deck, I've actually had really good success with putting all my cards in order. Like put all the major arcana in order, put all the minor arcana in order, and then just let it sit very orderly and neat and kind of everything in its place. And that's been a good method for a lot of my decks to kind of get a good neutral baseline start of, okay, we're good. We're starting over. But yeah, I think cultivating a relationship with any of your instruments should be like that. If you, like what JD said, if you were drawn to it and you picked it up for a reason, do what else that little voice is telling you to do. Listen to it. It's going to tell you to do certain things and lean into that. And even what JD commented on, if a friend gives you a deck or somebody gives you a deck and it kind of, there's a weird circumstance. I had a friend who went through a really rough time and used their tarot deck to kind of keep themselves like meditative and focused and centered. And when they came out of the other end of that event, they basically looked at me and said, you take it. It can't be in my house anymore, but I can't throw it away because somebody needs to keep it and somebody needs to, because the situation, the imprint she felt she had left on it made her, and I felt the same way when I pick it up. Like I keep it on my shelf, but I don't use it because like there's enough of a connotation around it and enough of that energy. Like sleeping dogs lie. We're done here. But really it's what you feel called to do and the intent behind it drives a lot of it.
Well, I think I'm going to use this opportunity real quick, and we'll ask Maria and Joan on this part. The whole belief for some people that you're not allowed to buy your own tarot. It has to be given to you your first deck. You know, I mean, Maria, what do you, as you can probably tell by my facial expression, what I think of it, but
You're biased.
you know,
She is biased. She knows our spending habits.
like Joan, look what I got in today.
Oh my God. You don't own this one yet.
Yeah, she's
Wasn't
an
the rumor
enabler.
that it's only your
Just
first
saying.
deck must be that or something?
You know, tarot cards or oracle cards or whatever cards that you are drawn to is no different than a crystal. I would rather go and buy my crystal because I want to build a relationship with it and I want to pick it. So, you know, I do have the habit that I picked up from my grandmother, and once in a while, and I don't do it to a lot of, but I know in Melissa's store I can do it. I will pour the whole entire bowl out, and I will look through the crystals and feel the energy.
That's you?
Does that a lot, but I do it once in a while, or else I put my hands in the bowl, and they would hear me playing with the crystals.
My God, Maria's over there busy picking.
Like, is it raining? No, Maria's just in crystals. It's fine.
So
100
it's
years,
the same
100
thing.
years from now, whoever owns the store is going to always hear that jingling sound. It's going to be
We're here. Maria's here. She visited. Yeah.
Picking out a crystal.
But it's the same thing with cards. You know, I mean, I think it's something that is a personal choice. You pick it, you're drawn to it, it comes home with you.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think, Joan? Like your first deck, did you wait for somebody to give it to you, or?
No, my first deck, I actually bought it, and let me tell you, I bought it used. So I was way against the grain. I bought it used from a record exchange shop, and it was the original, it was the Rider-Waite deck. I still carry it with me. But yeah, so years ago, and I just told the story too, my mom, because my grandmother was a reader and she just read playing cards, my mom was like, get that tarot out of my house. It's got to be in silk. You can't have it. Okay, Mom. Nice. Hey, still got the deck. Anyhow, she also asks me for readings, so that's how, evolved we are. Anyhow, I think of tarot as like clothing. Unless you want to be my sugar daddy or my sugar mama, I am going to go buy my own deck.
I am open for applications.
Right. Well, I'm not saying, I'm not denying it. I will
Will it be your
accept.
spirit daddy?
Your spirit daddy.
That's going to have to become a whole other topic there, JD.
That's the after hours.
The after the late night
After hours, right? I mean,
hours, right? Well, and like I like to tell some of the customers, I'm like, what if you are that one person who's getting ready to break out of that mold? You've had a very super religious family, and you're going to be the one to step out. If you're waiting for your friends or family to give, that's never going to happen. And I'm like, are you going to sit and wait on the whim of somebody else to start your spiritual path? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, so go buy a deck. Which one's calling to you? Which one is jumping out? Go get it. Don't wait around. Elias says everybody wants a sugar witch.
Yes.
there you go.
A sugar witch or a spirit daddy is now we coined the phrase.
I'm going to make some shirts, apparently.
Yes.
I got no idea.
You've heard it here first, people. Melissa will have the shirts.
Trademark. You got it.
Yes.
That's right. You gotta salute first.
Right. So Kathy's asking, what's the best way do you guys think for cleansing your cards? So Maria, when you're done cleansing your cards, for yourself, how do you cleanse them?
I do a pranic energy. I work with the violet flame a lot, and in pranic healing psychotherapy, we work with electric violet. So what I do is that I just blind the cards out and I just sweep a couple times, just one way, not going back and forth, just one way with electric violet, with the intention of just clearing it all out. That's what I do. You can also smudge them if you want to, but to me it's easier because that's my go-to tool. I just take my hand and the intention of just sweeping it with the electric violet.
Right now, Alexa, like, how are you keeping your cards cleansed today through your pupils?
I don't think it's up here with me. In the deck I carry in my purse, I have a huge chunk of selenite, and then I have another little chunk of clear quartz. And almost always at the end of the day, I'll try to put everybody back on the tarot shelf in my ritual room. That way they kind of feel like they're settled back in and they're at home. I've never gotten as deep as needing to like smudge a deck before. But definitely like having that selenite on the table, having a little clear quartz. And honestly, I've had some pretty good luck recently having a little rose quartz in the corner just near me to kind of remind me that like what I'm doing for the good of this person. I want to remain humble. I want to make sure I tell them something that will help them or bring them peace or bring them help. And I think that those kind of three on my table really have a good little sphere around me and jive well with me. Because that definitely on table days, that keeps everybody kind of mellowed and keeps the energy dissipated off when the person gets up and leaves.
All right, Joan, now how are you keeping your decks cleansed in
I
between?
tell my cards to get their act together. No, so I will shuffle. I shuffle at the end before I put them away, and it's usually just one or two shuffles. But they also, not only are they housed in certain bags, I have crystals and stones like kind of all over the place, and I do have a trunk that I store so I can find all my cards. I put them all, as many as I can, in this trunk, and I've got incense in there, and I've got sage. There is selenite. I do carry selenite with me too. So I've got my crystals working all the time to cleanse them. But if I pull a deck out and I still feel that it's not ready, I just shuffle. I will shuffle until I feel it can take no more. And then set it down and let them rest.
Yeah, I mean, the shuffling is giving a vibration. It's fluttering the energy, so it's kind of can work. Now, JD, you're a little different because you're not doing the cards. You're doing paper and chalk, and so like, how are you keeping that art space in between clients?
I have a thing with blowing on stuff. It's kind of the way I cleanse anything. And it comes very naturally.
What? Melissa, get your mind out of the gutter.
I didn't say a word.
like the connection to the breath, which has lots of correlations to it. And to me, it's just a way of clearing the energy off something. So I do that with crystals. I do that with my cards, like the cards that I have laid out at the store, because you can buy prints of the cards with the meanings on the back. Whenever I'm in, I shuffle them up. And what I do is first I gather them, and then when I have them in my hand in like the two, chunks, and I just, and I try and keep it simple. I kind of do the same thing when I finish a drawing, and I just, I raise it up and blow and just cleanse it. I keep it simple because I'm lazy.
But if it works, I mean,
right, and that's the thing, and that has a lot more to do with what your structure and how you work and what you believe and put faith into more than anything else. So there's really not a right or wrong way to do things necessarily if you feel it's true for you.
Right.
Is that you're blowing on it, JD? Is that similar? It sounds like it's similar to like the release.
Yeah.
When we're talking to someone, we sigh and we're all done.
Yeah, it's not just an exhale. It's a,
it's an intentional.
I'll even do that when people are talking, and
you just blow on them.
Yeah, to blow them off.
Blew me off.
He's not blowing a kiss. He's blowing them off.
That's the backup plan if the first part doesn't work. No, it's like if someone's talking about something, like if someone's saying something negative, and some people do the whole cancel thing or the knock on wood. I'll knock on wood too, but like if someone's talking about like health issues and they're talking about the potential bad things or something like that, I'll be like, like I just kind of, it's my way of sending energy out or intent at the very least.
Is that work appropriate? Could I use that in a meeting?
Don't blow in their face.
Just to the side.
Don't tell people you do it because the last thing you want is requests.
Oh gosh. Is that okay? So is it the spiritual equivalent of being like in a sporting arena and somebody's spitting? Because now wait a minute. Let's go there because some people it's like getting rid of a curse. You hear a name and people will go. And they're gonna.
I'll do that too. I think there's correlations. I think it's different, as far as where those ideas come from. But conceptually, I think they're very similar. It's like the spitting would be dismissal. So cleansing is, in a way, dismissal. It's get rid of that.
Blow it out your ear.
Elias put into the chat, he uses salt, sage, puts the deck back in primary order, like what, Alexa was saying. I don't really use cards myself. I use the stones when I'm doing healing work, and a lot of that is blowing of the Florida water. And it's kind of similar. It's that whole transformational blowing away. It's like you not only cleanse it, but then you also you bless it at the same time, like reset, putting back to rights.
Candles.
Right. Well, and there's some people who will say you don't blow out your candles, you snuff them. So you don't blow away the attention and the work that the candle's doing. So it depends on what side of the fence are you on.
Right. I would think that would be more setting your intentions into action, into motion.
Yeah. See,
you're wish and then blowing it.
I always tell people that everybody you will ever meet has done magic at least once because almost everybody has blown out a birthday candle.
Yeah.
They've concentrated, they've made a wish, they've set an intention, and they've pushed it out into the world with the hope that it'll come true. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and that's whole, sometimes I'll get new people into the store and they'll talk about, they're uncomfortable with the idea of doing the spells, clearly kind of coming out of a Christian heavy faith. And I'm like, what do you think your prayer is? Where you go light the candle after you say a prayer? Your prayer is somebody else's spell, just different name, maybe a different backdrop going on. You have the crucifix up there where somebody else might have a statue of some other deity.
A Christmas list.
What do you mean? Christmas?
It's a manifestation list.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun getting into some of those topics sometimes and watching a little bit uncomfortable,
Yeah.
It's
sometimes people, initially, especially if they're first opening up to something, they need that. They need to have some type of boundary that they're setting for themselves just to kind of feel safe enough to open up. Otherwise, they might get overwhelmed and having an answer for everything isn't necessarily making them feel necessarily more comfortable. I mean, depending on the rapport and everything. So each situation is different, but yeah. When I first started, and I've always been kind of out there, but when things really started happening and some impressions were left that I kind of followed for a while, but then, eventually grew out of just because it was kind of like the bumpers when you're bowling, when you're a kid, to get it. When you're first starting out, you need that, or it's helpful for some. Other people can dive right in.
Mm-hmm. Until you start learning to use those bumpers to do trick shots. Start open up that Bible to do some other spell work here. Get out your palms.
There you
go. We are actually a little after 9. So I guess if anybody has any last minute questions you want to ask us for the night, otherwise we'll maybe be wrapping up. But I think we were looking at doing this on a pretty regular basis after the fairs.
Good conversation, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the type of stuff, like, if you were to hang around in the store, fly on the wall, like, this is the type of stuff we talk
Yeah,
about.
that we do.
Joan, you're out of reach.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, look, high five.
Well, I definitely think platforms like this have become really useful, and especially in today's, like, this is the way that modern technology definitely benefits some of the more old school, like, practitioners. Is I don't think people realize how accessible a lot of this stuff is. I don't think people realize how much of their day-to-day life is like already infused with the stuff that we do. Like, thinking about like what Maria does with like healing and things like that. Like, I know so many people that if you say, oh, I'm sick or I'm getting this thing, they want to come hold your hand and like say a prayer with you. Like, and for them, that's a very normal thing of like, oh, I want to help you. I want to do that thing. It's such, I've always had the view that the more you look for magic, the easier it is to find. But
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Alex. I'm totally agreeing with you. I just saw Elias's comment.
do I want to
the background of background. Well, it's.
But you're right, Alex. You're right. Absolutely right. It's people don't realize what they're doing translates into something else, from a different culture, or a background, or belief system.
Well, I think if nothing else, COVID has taught a lot of us to kind of be a little more still and pay more attention to what's going on around us and like how things interact in our world, and maybe our place and responsibility in it. You know, that's like maybe another topic that I was thinking of doing, like getting some practitioners together and like, let's talk about owning your own shit and quit blaming what's going wrong in life on outside forces. Like, how much are you responsible for this by decisions you're making? You know, quit blaming demons. They don't care. You know, I'm like, oh my God, because that's sometimes I'm like, no, honey, you don't have demons in your house. You have grown-ass children who are making decisions, and no.
Or it's like people that like blame their zodiac sign for their shitty behavior. They're like, oh my God, I can't help it, I'm a Scorpio. Like, no, Karen, you're just a trash human.
But check your rising sign.
Let's take a look at that natal chart.
Right.
Which again, here's where I'm going to come in and be like, nature versus nurture versus.
Yep.
It only indicates tendencies.
But even then, depending on how you grew up, you know, a whole new different set by your parents and your surrounding people.
Hey,
really
is there a crystal for that? Yes, there's a big giant rock I could throw. Boom.
Have you seen that meme that's like, which crystal is good for, warding off bad energy? Like, any of
all of them. Yeah.
Very name. Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that when you were talking about, like, you know, people not realizing how much stuff is in their life already, I think part of the sensationalist views of it, of both it being evil and or, you know, Disney fantasy, is that it puts it so far out there. So there's either fear or there's the denial of self, being I can't do that because it's something that's completely unrealistic. As far as energy wise, the sentiment is there, the intent is there, but like, you know, people's expectations is way over the top as far as what they're going to be able to do, certainly initially. And, you know, and there's also other people in the world. So, you know, it's not always gonna go. That's why I focus more on intent than anything else, because if you try and lay down the particulars too much, then that can coincide with someone else doing a lot of work to go a different direction. And it just, you know, it's all how it comes out in the mix. But if you focus more on the intent and the growth aspect of it and, things like that, I think it's more viable to seeing those patterns return to you.
Well, maybe our last question for tonight, because this could hopefully not turn into like another hour long, though it could be fun. Elias says, simple question, hard answer. What matters more, what you believe or how you express / live it? And I'm going to go first real quick. To me, the belief, the expression, and living would all be the same. Because if you're truly believing and working on, you're going to be working for it and manifesting and doing. So for me, I mean, it would all be the same. Otherwise, you know, why half-ass something? If you believe it and you want it and you're going to live it, otherwise, you know, move on to your next thing because you're half-assing.
That's because you're an Aries.
Don't be hating because I get shit done, JD. It has nothing to do with my Ariesness. Like, I get shit done. Just because I have to ride you to get things done, like what's the difference of these decks, JD? I can't sell them and hustle them if there are no decks.
You're
in trouble now,
right?
So who wants to go next on that?
You.
Me.
Add that to your list of shit to do.
Definitely. That's right.
Okay. Belief or are we talking belief or action?
Yeah, he wants to know which is more important, the belief in like the intent, or right, is the expressing and living it more important? I'm
going to complicate things like I like to do.
Keep it short, complicated. No.
Mute him.
I'm going to narrow this down. Kind of like the intent is the act of putting it forward. So that's where you're taking the concept in your mind. You've processed it, chewed on it, and you're setting an intent. The action is like the final step in it manifesting. Sometimes you can reverse this process and start by taking action, and then that opens up your mind. So like looking at it from a mind, body, spirit part, there's like, it's kind of like the slot machine thing. You know, when all three line up, then that's when you're most effective. But like your mind may be totally on board, even though your actions are in set and your spirit's on board. So it's kind of when you get those in alignment, that's where things really process. For most people in most situations, I think energy kind of comes to us in our consciousness, then we try and process it. We get ideas from the world on how to do that, but then eventually we try and work with it. Like we try and, like an artist learning their medium. And then once you start to do that, then you can actually put it into action. But generally, not always, but generally, I think action is the final step in the process. So more important, I wouldn't say any of them. It's just steps in the path.
Maria, this way. Whatever.
Other way.
Next. It's all backwards.
I really I agree with the belief has to be there, and it not in the same like the action is there and the belief is coming, or it could be, you know, reverse. But I understand what you're saying, JD. It's just that for me, the belief has to be there first. I have to believe it. I have to believe in myself that I can do it. And no matter what anybody says to me, if I don't have the belief, it's not gonna be expressed. It's not gonna be lived. The action is not gonna be there. I have to have the belief in myself to do it. So the belief is really important. And I've come across clients when I do a session with them, whether it's a shamanic trance, and they come out of it, and I have a girl that I was working on a self-confidence, and I pretty much, you know, walk her through the trance. And when she came out of it, she said, you know, I never really believed that I could do anything. And she go, I think I can do it. And I say, it's a process. You have to believe in yourself to keep going. You know, so yeah, to me, the belief is the important part.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Right. Alexa.
So for me, like, my inclination is to say that, like, the belief in the intent is more important. Simply because, like, because I practice eclectic witchcraft. Like I always tell anybody that comes to me talking about spell work, talking about ritual work, like your intent and the emphasis that you put behind whatever physical action you're about to take, that intent, that motivation matters. You hear that old adage of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Like, you can have all the best intentions in the world. If you do something shitty to someone, you did something horrid. You can't help that. Because I couldn't be very open in my practice when I was younger, I had to kind of be in the broom closet. I got really good at minimalistic, low-key practice of anything related toward anything. And I had to focus so hard on, yeah, this is an electric candle, but it's going to represent my fire element, and I'm going to make that work because that's what it is tonight, I believe. I can't burn incense because then, the house is going to reek and I'm going to get accused of some things. Here's a feather that works. I'm good. Like, a lot of it is the intent you put behind it, because like I know, for example, and it's I feel like it's across a lot of religions, and it's a lot of spiritualities that you see that. Like my mother's a great example. Like, she is a profoundly wonderful person. She is a Christian. She hasn't set foot in a church in I don't know how many years. It doesn't make her any less of a good person because of how I see what motivates her actions and what causes whatever physical action she does in the world. Like, that motivation, that spark that gets it going, that's what's important. Mm-hmm. That's that drive behind your physical manifestation, in my opinion.
Right. And Joan?
So as everyone was talking, I started thinking about it. And, I think our beliefs change over time because we learn new things. But I want to say it this way: do as I say, not as I do, which is a bunch of bullshit. So I could sit here and preach all night, but again, is it do as I say and not as I do? Don't look up at me. Well, yes, you look up at me.
That took a lot of focus to know which direction to look.
I know. We embody what we believe, and if we didn't believe it, we wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So no matter what it is, again, we've all said it. It's either intention, we live with love, we actively choose what we do. So if you're going to go against somebody, you actively made that choice. So I tend not to listen to people that say, do as I say, but not as I do, like a parent would. Don't drink alcohol, but I'm going to have fun. Right there. You can't do that. You have to live what you believe. You have to. I mean, okay, that's what I'm saying. You have to. I'm not making the rules up. If you're true to yourself, that's the only way you can live.
Well, and I think sometimes people expect like the action, the living has to be something huge and expressive, and sometimes it's just the action of being open for that possibility.
We're all human. There's room for error. We're all learning. We're learning spirits. This is a spiritual experience in human form. These bodies suck. I wish I could fly.
I'm telling you, I'm about done with this lifetime here. I'm ready for my next planet.
Ooh, yeah.
They can come.
Road trip.
They can come take me off at any given point.
I'm driving. Let's go.
Like I'm having stop.
Of some post-life road trip, like interplanetary, interdimensional thing.
I'm telling you, that's why I was looking forward so hard for the Death Rites weekend on the current Shaman Apprenticeship, and now, they're not going to do it the way that I'm kind of mad. I want to teacher and be like, how dare you? Like, that was going to be my 5-minute spiritual vacation. Like I was looking forward to it. Don't make me drive out there, Zane. Yep. You will take me out of my body and kill me for 5 minutes, damn it. I want it.
Yep, I need to die.
Whole other topic about the shaman program. Now people are like, "Oh my god, you have to die!" Like, not quite.
Like, this is what these weirdos talk about? Oh my god.
Oh, right. Like, no. We had to sign contracts giving him permission to yank our ass back so he wouldn't have to explain to any paramedics why there's a room full of dead people.
Yes.
Fun times.
Right.
All right. Well, since it's like already like 9:30, maybe wrap this one up.
I hope we make the next one 2 hours because I definitely feel like we could easily fill up time with a good discussion.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I thought like this could be fun. Joan and JD helped pitch this. Like we were all sitting around eating Red Robin, and they were like, it'd be fun
after a fair where we were drowning ourselves.
The real idea is to do a reality show based on psychics.
Trademarks. This is a
Trademark.
Goddess Elite trademark.
We got the reality TV show and then Spirit Daddy and Sugar Witch. So we got it. We're covered.
Right. Yep. And then like the other idea we couldn't figure out how to make it work was like instead of celebrity death match, like reader throwdown match between the readers. Like that could be fun. Haven't figured the logistics of that out yet. This is the shenanigans we talk about in between customers, guys. Like
I feel like it's almost like a Dungeons and Dragons type thing where you're rolling the dice. You know what? I cast stones at you.
right.
I'm setting my intention times 10.
Joan, I see your rose quartz and I raise you little tiny gemstone dicks.
I've got a bag of 50. So
I have the big ones at the store. Mine are bigger. Size matters.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Y'all notice how JD got real quiet?
Right. Like, and we're done for the night.
JD's screen just goes black.
And he slides out.
Still
If
nothing.
anyone's in need of a spirit daddy,
JD's got it. Right there.
Right. Yeah, that's me.
All right. Well, I thank everyone for joining us and thanks guys for coming on. We look forward to doing this again after the next fair, which would be the last Sunday of the month at 8.
the Halloween version.
Yeah.
Me in costume.
That one's going to be tricky because there's supposed to be, I'll have to figure that one out, the logistics of that one, because there's a seance in the store Halloween night with Greg.
Oh, wait a minute. But see, Halloween night is a Saturday night, right?
All Hallows.
Oh, yes.
So,
we're
the calendar done
Sunday
lady.
before.
Yeah, Samhain's on Saturday. The 2 days of Dia de los Muertos are Sunday and Monday.
So we're good. So we'll be doing it Sunday after the fair.
We're taking the week off.
Elias says, it's okay, JD. We men know better when the women have us outnumbered. So
Bags and bags. Yeah, there's no competition there.
all right. So we'll be back last Sunday in October, 8 o'clock. Have questions ready for us because this is fun. We enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And we look forward to seeing everybody next time.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Night. Take care.